So if you want to get the most out of your vehicle and engine as far as life and performance, motor oil brand makes a difference. Oil manufacturers have spent a ton of time and money trying to develop their products, and it shows. The 4 brands that we'll be testing today have done extremely well in previous showdown competition. However, only 2 get to advance to the final 4. Which brands will they be? Well, let's find out. Before we kick off testing, let's take a closer look at each of the oil's contents. I sent samples of the new oil to a testing lab and the results are very interesting. Comparing Amsoil and Kendall to other common brands, Amsoil and Kendall have nearly the same amount of anti-wear additives at just over 1,500 parts per million. As the name implies, anti-wear additives complement the base oil in preventing engine wear. More isn't necessarily better, however the purpose of additives is to help the base oil, not to replace it. Red Line also contains a lot more anti-wear additives than Pennzoil. You can also see how well they stack up against other popular brands. Throughout the video, we'll look at the other contents of the motor oils. In previous oil playoff episodes, we've seen just how good these motor oils are when they are new, but what about when they've been exposed to significant heat? We'll begin by adding 200 grams of oil into each container. We'll then heat the oil to approximately 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours, which is an hour longer of heat exposure compared to previous testing. I'll rotate the containers every 10 minutes during the entire 3 hours just in case there are hot spots on the griddle. We're also going to monitor the temperature of each oil to make sure that they're all very close to the same temperature throughout the entire test. So why this test? Well, this test isn't exactly the same as the NOAC volatility test, which exposes oil to even more heat than this test. The purpose is to determine just how good these oils are at avoiding evaporation and thermal breakdown. Once this test is complete, we'll use the cooked oil for additional tests. That was a fast 3 hours. I'm going to go ahead and take each one of these oils off the griddle, and when we come back, we're going to weigh each one to see how much evaporative loss took place. Amsoil will start off at 442.28 grams. It now weighs 440 grams even, which is a loss of 2.28 grams. Kendall started off at 407.07. It now weighs 404.35. That's a loss of 2.72 grams. Red Line started off at 423.32 grams. It now weighs 420.72. That's a loss of 2.6 grams. Pennzoil started off at 416.87 grams. It now weighs 414.77 grams. That's a loss of 2.1 grams. Before we start the next test, we're going to place the oil in a freezer that's going to cool the oil to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature is definitely extreme for most viewers. However, it will make it very easy to figure out if heat exposure has had an impact on cold oil viscosity. We'll begin cooling the oil now, and we'll come back to this test later in the video. The next test doesn't simulate engine operating conditions perfectly, however the lubricity test provides great data on performance when it comes to film strength. Before beginning the next test, I'm going to first calibrate the weight scales, weigh each bearing before and after the lubricity test to determine the loss of material. I'll also be measuring the size of the wear scar after the test. The Amsoil Signature series is a 100% synthetic motor oil engineered with industry-leading proprietary base stocks, anti-wear additives, and detergents. The oil is designed to last up to 25,000 miles. While the container of oil that we'll be testing doesn't have the API SN Plus designation, Amsoil's website indicates that its oil helps protect pistons from low-speed pre-ignition. It also meets the ILSAC GF5 specs. Pennzoil has a liquid titanium protection additive. We'll be testing their GT1 Max. It's a full synthetic motor oil. The oil is licensed as API SN and ILSAC GF5. Amsoil is on the left and Kendall is on the right. Both did very well in this test. However, Amsoil did a lot better, showing a much smaller wear scar. The Red Line full synthetic oil uses the highest quality ester formula base stocks and higher levels of ZDDP anti-wear additives. The Red Line oil is rated as API-SN. It meets ILSAC, GF5, and GM Dexos 1 specs. Pennzoil Ultra Platinum is a full synthetic 5W30 motor oil. It exceeds requirements for API-SN and ILSAC GF5. Red Line is on the left and Pennzoil is on the right. It's amazing how much difference there is between the two bearings, with Red Line showing far less wear. Red Line has a terrific film strength, did a really good job on the lubricity test. Before we kick off the cold flow oil test, let's take a look at a couple of more oil properties. Detergents and dispersants play a vital role in keeping an engine clean. Amsoil contains around 33% more detergents than Kendall. Both Red Line and Pennzoil have very high levels of detergents and dispersants. Another important characteristic of oil is its total base number. As a fuel is burned in an engine, oxidation occurs. Oxidation causes acids to form in the oil, which can cause damage. To neutralize the acids, the oil needs a base. The concentration is expressed as TBN. Amazon has a much higher TBN than Kendall, and Kendall has the same TBN as Mobil 1. Red Line has a TBN of 10.2 compared to 8.6 for Pennzoil. Since this is a team sport for new and cooked oil, both the brand's new and cooked oil must finish the race before the competition's new and cooked oil. Amsoil is in lane 1, cooked Amsoil lane 2, cooked Kendall lane 3, new Kendall lane 4. And new and cooked Amsoil don't seem to be fazed at all by the cold, as they are quick out of the gate and moving fast down the straightaway. New Kendall is narrowly ahead of cooked Kendall. Team Kendall has a lot of work to do if they're going to catch up with Team Amsoil. The cooked Amsoil seems as good as new, as it's neck and neck with the new Amsoil. The cooked Amsoil barely finishes ahead of the new Amsoil, and Team Amsoil finishes ahead of Team Kendall by 6 inches. New Kendall just finished ahead of cooked Kendall by less than an inch. New Pennzoil lane 1, cooked Pennzoil lane 2, cooked Red Line lane 3, and new Red Line lane 4. And Team Pennzoil is out of the gate quick, with the cooked Pennzoil narrowly ahead of the new Pennzoil. Cooked Red Line is slightly ahead of the new Red Line as it's making its way onto the straightaway. This looks to be a little closer race than the last one, but Team Pennzoil is really going to be hard to beat as it's gaining momentum towards the finish line. Team Pennzoil has taken a 2.5-inch lead over Red Line and seems unstoppable. Team Pennzoil takes the checkered flag, with cooked Pennzoil crossing the finish line ahead of new Pennzoil by about an inch and around 3 inches ahead of Red Line. Great race by both teams. Amsoil will compete against Penrite, and Pennzoil will face off with Schaefer's. What an incredible lineup for the Final Four. Only 2 teams get to advance this time, and that includes Pennzoil and Amsoil. Now, if you're a Red Line fan, it's very disappointing to see that loss, because Red Line did such a phenomenal job on the lubricity test. But Pennzoil tends to flow better after it's been cooked when it's cold, and Pennzoil also tends to evaporate less when exposed to heat. Now, when it comes to Amsoil, Amsoil did win all 3 events. Kendall is a very good motor oil and has some really good engine oil additives. I'll be providing more information on each of these oil brands and the contents of the oils in a future episode. I get all these video ideas from you guys. Thank you so much for those ideas. I hope you'll continue to give me some more video ideas. I read and reply to just about every comment. As usual, just want to say thanks so much for watching the video. Please take care, and I look forward to next time.